Hey, Brock, Sociology graduate students. Ian Gordon here, Science Librarian, here to help you with services, resources, databases, and collections that may help you to be a better graduate student as you do research, do coursework, and you write up your thesis as well. I'm sitting in for Laurie Morrison, the Sociology Librarian, who is on leave or sabbatical, but returns to Brock in January 2021. I'm here to help you. And I'm going to show you a series of PowerPoint slides and add commentary. But at the end of the presentation, I have three searches. One is going to do an Omni Search and show you how I would do it to better informed of how it works. I'm going to show you the Sociology Collection ProQuest database because there's a bit of a trick that may help you. And I'm going to show you where the Brock theses are because they're important documents as well. So here we go. There's a number of resources. My email address, Ian Gordon. The Brock Library Help Desk, which gives you a number of things that you can do, including chat and other services. The Brock Library Sociology Research Guide, which we'll show you as well, which will be your stay-at-home resource to find books, articles, theses, services, and resources as well. Don't rule out Brock Library What's New. It's on our homepage. It gives you an idea of during difficult times what services have changed and how you can access collections. The Digital Scholarship Lab has a series of workshops, so there's the URL. Make sure you check those out. They're really great workshops. The Brock Digital Repository, where theses and other resources are found. The Brock Library Research Data Management Guide. I'll show you where that is. That's important to collect, manage, archive, and use data as you move along and do your thesis as well. Here's the Brock Library homepage, a number of resources, including our news and other resources as well. Research help. If you click on this guide, it gives you a number of things. Email at any time, libhelp@brocku.ca. Especially when things aren't working. You think something should be there, but it can't, or you can't get the full text of something, or you have a technical glitch that prevents you from accessing resources. Make sure you email us at any time. We can help you with that. Online chat is great. Evenings, afternoons, and weekends. If you have something quick you need to figure out, there's always someone, a librarian at the online chat. Book a personal research consultation here is great with me or anyone else that would help. Check out our videos, about Omni and other sorts of things, and our tutorials, videos, and guides. Browse through the guides here that can help you. How best to use Google Scholar and other tools. And to get help with research, writing, management, here's our writing and supporting style page as well. Another idea that you can search is click on Use the Library. There's a number of resources here that can help you. Borrowing has changed, so you can borrow books at our library, but you have to put in a request for the book. What they do is they sign it out for you, put it in a place where you can come and pick it up at any particular time. That's for print books if you're in the Brock, Niagara region. You may not be. If not, you can request a scan, which is really neat. What it does is you ask for up to 10% of a book, whether it be a chapter or an edited paper. They'll scan it, email it to you directly for free, which is kind of neat as well. Interlibrary Loans Continues, which is a resource that we'll talk about that helps you get resource sharing documentation. Articles that we don't own, parts of books that we don't own, all those sorts of things. If you need accessibility information, we're always here to help you. That's really important for you to check that out as well. And watch for news and about changing spaces, accesses, hours, and services as we move through this challenging time. So watch for that as well. Another collection you may do is the research guides here. So if you click on research guides here on our front page, it takes you to our research guides separated by faculty and by department as well. Sociology is right here. It has a number of tabs that you can look up, and this is the basis where I will do some research for you as well. It has my email address here, and it has a book a consultation. So what it does is it brings up my calendar, and you can book an hour or 45 minutes, however long you want to, a particular date and time, and we can connect and go over something, and you can share screens, usually by Teams or Zoom or whatever works for you. So we'll send an invite and do that. Great if you need help or you're getting started, you don't understand something, something's not working, or you just want to work together to find materials that may be relevant for a course you're taking or your thesis. Here's a social sciences study question that I used. social study of racism within policing. Maybe somebody's doing this, I'm not sure. But as I moved through this, it took me about 2 weeks to go through it, I picked a series of keywords that seemed to work best, and you should probably do this as well. Police, policing, law enforcement, and justice, many words for that one concept. I looked at a particular population and found many words that describe blacks, youth, thugs has been used in the news literature, racism, race, discrimination. I also kind of thought of theories, strategies, relations, and subcultures and cultures that were important as well. I defined a timeline, anything newer, older than 2009, though it may be helpful, it's kind of where I separate and don't look any further back. And for spaces and places, I kind of limited my research, finding that I was overwhelmed looking at Canada, Ontario, Toronto, and the GTA, but I didn't exclude USA or UK or any other documents. Notes as I went through my research, checking on databases and searches and keywords, Statistics Canada. I thought opinion polls on political parties and advocacy groups are great. Black Like Me, Night of the Gun, particular authors or researchers where I kept finding endemic demographics. Indigenous peoples was an important concept, even dealing with racism and policing, commissions, and other words that worked well. Databases I really found well. You may as well, but you can find other ones where WorldCat to find books that aren't in our library, ProQuest dissertations to find important theses, we'll talk about that, ProQuest Sociology, Web of Science, and other news databases as well. So knowing this in my journal and keeping up, let's move forward. So in our sociology guide, there's a number of tabs, and one of them is books and ebooks. Books are, you may not think you need books, but I found for this particular topic, books were really important. There's a number of databases that you can use. There's a number here. Google Books is great to find parts of books and formatting of books that may not be available in our library or in our library in print, but you'd like to look at some parts of them in digital format as well. If you've never used Google Books, try it. Omni is the database to help define books, so hopefully you know how to use that or check out that video. WorldCat answers the question, what books are available on my topic over a certain period of time, let's say the last 5 years, that may be important for me for chapters or for edited content or edited papers as well. I also looked at open educational resources, which are available listing here, and I found a number of tools. There are online textbooks, open source formats like lecture notes, books, course materials that are important as well. So borrowing has changed. Remember the pickup service and the request to scan. Interlibrary loan continues to work, and it's really important. Omni to find books, Google Books that may be helpful for you, WorldCat to find things Brock does not own. Make sure you use Interlibrary Loan to order specific formattings of chapters and books and contents and articles. Check out your citation management software like Zotero, Mendeley, and Note. You should be using those. We'll talk more about that later. And check out the open educational resources that may be important to you. And there's a number of databases that help you define that as well. So books and ebooks are great. Doing a search, I found out, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books that I found really important to help me build context, background, and important tools and chapters that I used. Pushed to Zotero or a citation management system, but they were important in my search in building context and specifically building a literature review as I move forward, writing my thesis papers and capstone project. For the open educational resources, I found a number of things, and it's an increasingly important part of doing research. So books, articles, theses, but open educational resources. Here's 4 resources. I found an illustration that worked kind of neat. Good cop, bad cop. I found a PowerPoint presentation by a scholar at American University over police shootings of African Americans. They took a book and they did an overview and collected a chapter on this. I found this TED Talk. It was great. I love being a police officer, but we need reform, which was kind of neat reading and watching that. And then there was a textbook, Unit 12 in a Stanford book, had context about race relations and ethnicity, theories of race and ethnicity. It provided good background for me as I moved forward and trying to understand what I was trying to do. News articles. Well, you may say don't look at news articles, but news articles help find a voice, find things that you couldn't find any other way. And in a sociology course, it kind of gives you a pedestrian view and look at life as opposed to a scholar who writes scholarly peer-reviewed journal articles. There's a number of databases that are listed here. Most overlapping databases provide the same content on a number of databases. Most of our databases concentrate on Canadian news, but it includes not only news, but news wires, newspapers, news magazines, and some journals that are Canadian as well. Nexus Uni, which is listed here, is probably an important database. It's neat because it provides international, major papers, major news wires from all countries around the world, same day in full text. It's a must search. A reason to contact me is to say, how would I best do a search in Nexus Uni on my particular topic using my keywords? Factiva is another database that's listed here that's kind of like Nexus Uni, but you can search using any combination of keywords and titles and authors. But news articles are excellent resources for quotes or statistics or research releases data, or news that has a non-scholarly voice. If you ever come across a news resource, don't pay for it because we can get access to it at any particular time. Don't do that. And keep searching the web for stories using a series of phrases and keywords and authors and researchers just to find new things that may be important. You'll be surprised at the amount of news and the value it brings to your thesis. Even though you may not include this in your thesis, they're important contexts as well. Send them to a citation management system. Here's 3 things I found when I was looking for the news. An article from the Toronto Star. An article which was a photo essay for the New York Times. It was really powerful. And from the Washington Post, a viewpoint or opinion piece talking about protesting police brutality and racism is essential work. Kind of neat because you can cut and paste from this. You can cite it. You can use it. It gives you more context. Not only news is important, but journal articles are really important as well. And if you go to this tab, there's a number of databases that you can search. Omni is one that we always say start with. Google Scholar is a database most people use. And there's another certain words. And if you look at the bottom, there's 25 different databases that you can use. Some of them are overlapping, just like the news. Omni's a good first start. Watch the Meet Omni video first to give you an idea of how to search. The ProQuest Sociology collection is important, and I'll show you how to change databases. Web of Science is important because not only can you find articles, you can find articles that cite that article. I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. And you're searching always limit by scholarly peer-reviewed journals. There's more of the databases that are obvious or not obvious. Search government, legal, and specialized databases. So you could ask, geez, what databases do I need to search for that sorts of content? Remember phrase searching in most databases, it's quotation marks that looks for words as phrases, or the truncations, the Shift F8 button. It's the asterisk that helps to find words that have common truncations. Sort your results by relevancy and date. Be sure to send your citations to a citation management software. I use Zotero. Track article DOIs because that's a way of pulling or pushing data into your citation management system. Digital object identifiers. Download essential articles, things that you go, this is amazing. I just have to save this. Don't download all the articles because it just clutters up everything. But save the links to articles that may be of limited interest and put those in your citation management systems. Sign into database and save your searches and mark records and run alerts. That's really neat. What it does is when you sign into a database and you do a search, you can save the search and tell the database, run this search once a week. If you find anything new, email me, send the citations of these so that I can see whether they're relevant or not. So that it's a current awareness service. It's an alert service. I can help you set those up. Those are really powerful, especially for researchers. Be creative and flexible and willing to try different strategies. Ask if you need assistance with these. Be prepared to know you'll probably be overwhelmed with the data, the keywords, and the research methodologies. It just helps you to explore different things as well. So scholarly, peer-reviewed journal articles are the industry standard and things that you should be collecting and finding. And when you usually find out, when you found as much as you want, you tend to keep seeing the same sorts of ones, irrespective of what keywords and strategies you use. That's when you know you've kind of reached your limit of finding a scholarly peer-reviewed journal. Here's 3 scholarly peer-reviewed journals that I found. 3 articles that I downloaded and looked at. Here's one that I looked up, which was in 1994, but it was awesome. Here's an article I looked at, Racism and Police Brutality in America. Again, I'm looking maybe at Canadian data, but this was great. And look at the keywords that they used that helped you inform what words they used that you should maybe be using. using as well. Here's an article shining the light on dark places, and it's written by Pamela Palmater. I hope I pronounced it right. A Ryerson researcher. A 33-page essay on Indigenous women, which is really amazing, and it sheds a light into police and racism in Canadian context as well. Again, when you find these things, put them into a citation management system like Zotero. When you search for things and you find an article, it'd be nice to know who is using those particular things. And there's different metrics or ways of doing that. Here's an easy one in the Web of Science database. Again, it's social science as well as science. I looked up this article I just showed you. It tells you the citation information, the database, but it tells you there was 48 self-citations in the article itself. Look at those. They can help you to find other things. But since it was published in 1994, there's 16 citations that were cited post this particular article that had used and cited this one article itself. It's a way of tracking the literature to see who's using it as well. It's not the be-all end-all, but it's an interesting way. Serious researchers like you can help you find who's tracking and using this literature as well. Interlibrary Loan and Eraser. Really important. You need to register for it once, and once you've registered and signed up, you don't have to do that again. You can submit a book request, an article request, and you can check on that status. It asks you to check Omni first to see whether you have it or not, but we do that anyways. For the first time, and when you register, remember your student number is your username, and you pick up your own password. Remember your password, you have to remember it. There's no way of forgetting it and remembering it. You have to come back to the library and ask for it as well. You don't need to know where the documents are located. We, the library, do the work for you. Okay. Be sure you fill in the appropriate form. If you're looking for an article, fill in the article form. If you're looking for a book or a part of a book, again, it'll format and show you how to fill in so it's waiting to be done. You've got to wait 1 or 2 weeks, but at any time you can email racer@brocu.ca. What that does is you can ask them, what's the status? Can I ask for this? They always ask you. If you have a question, ask them that about interlibrary loans. Items will be sent to you by email in digital format and released through software. There's usually no cost. We ask you first if there's going to be a cost, but that rarely happens. Again, you can't order broad content, so you have to do the research to find out whether we own it or not. But yet, anytime you order anything by interlibrary loan, save the citation and download it to Zotero. Background information. Well, definitions are really important. Maybe not for a graduate student, but you need to verify and cite those citations. So here's a number of databases that you could use using your keywords to search for definitions or context or review articles. So scholarly citable definitions, review essays and handbooks, encyclopedias and dictionaries, and quotable scholarly content that you can use from this background page. Here's 3 sources that I found. Here's a review essay. It's 12 pages long on race, crime, and policing. Here's a Sage Dictionary of Policing, a racial profiling, and it gives you a definition. It's a 12-page article. And here's a definition for institutional racism. You can cite it, save it, print it, download it, but you can cut and paste this and maybe put this into a paper you're doing or your thesis as well. Scholarly materials that help you to find definitions for things. Statistics and data. This is really, really, really important. If you click on here, it gives you sources for Canadian research data, like Statistics Canada. But if you click on the guide here, it brings up this page, and it brings up a number of resources that you can use. Finding your data, where is that data? Citing it, how do I cite it? How do I track it, and how do I download it, and how do I use it and include it so it's a data set that you can track of as well. Heather Whipple is the data librarian, and she's an amazing person. Email or book a consultation with Heather. And Sharon Jansen, the map library, digital collection. If you have to visualize your data, you have to create a map, always work with Sharon as well. So if you haven't done that, book a consultation with Heather and say, how do I manage, or how do I find, or what do I do with my data? Theses and dissertations. This is really important for graduate students, so listen up. This is the page, and there's a number of resources defining theses and dissertations. MA thesis or PhD dissertations. The Brock theses are listed here. I'll show you that at the end. ProQuest dissertations is this particular database, and it's really great because not only does it find the citations, provides the full text for difficult to find documents. Sometimes some of these databases are for UK or third world or least developed, or theses that are open in collections as well. International content is usually not available in interlibrary alone. So if you find a thesis, the trick is to find the full text of that as well. You can search the home institution's digital repository like our Brock theses. There's nothing like finding a useful thesis or dissertation. Why? Well, it helps you to understand how someone's formulated an idea. What definitions do they use? They do a lit review, not that you can beg, borrow, and steal, but you can see what they've included in their lit review and maybe include those sources as well. Keep searching before and after you're writing for thesis and dissertations. I look at these documents now as I'm writing and just before I present or defend my thesis. It's important in case something hot off the press comes that you would like to look up as well. So keep looking for these things. ProQuest Theses, Dissertations, and Theses. That's an interesting database. So here's a search I did in this database. I look up the word police or policing, and I put in the racists or racisms, and I found over 1,000 documents. So I went back and I said, let's look at police or policing or other terms, including phrases, and theses or dissertations titles. I want them in the title. I'll look up any word with the word racism, like racist, racism, racists, and or prejudice or other words with those roots anywhere. And I still found too many. So I said, well, let's look at how many of these documents that I found already have the word Toronto or Ontario or any word that starts with Canada, like Canada, Canada's Canadian. You may think of another strategy. And these words have to be in an abstract since all theses and dissertations have an abstract. I found 40 documents, and here's some of them are here. I tagged them, put them into a list, sent them over to my citation management system, and downloaded the full text. Really important. Again, theses and dissertations will be great for a graduate student. We're getting there, writing and citing. So there's a number of tools that help you to writing and citing. Writing and citing is great. If you click on this tool, it tells you what other citation management software systems you may want to use. Some are free. Most of them are free, like Mendeley, EndNote, RefWorks. Zotero is the one I suggest. That's my choice. And there's other tools that you can look up at as well. Zotero is listed here, and that's the one I tend to teach and use. You may choose not to, but you really need a citation management software. It tracks, creates bibliographies for you automatically. Helps you do in-text citations and track notes and tools. At the bottom of this particular page, there's a number of full-text digital resources to help you to be a better writer. How to write in sociology, writing a brief guide, Writing for Emerging Sociologists, a 2013 book that has a chapter titled Writing in Graduate School and Beyond. Really great tools. Check them out. Here's some questions for you. Have you created a list of keywords or subjects for your search? If not, you should. What boundaries have you set for your research to include publication formats, books, articles, theses, news, date range, the places and spaces, databases you've consulted, authors that are predominant that you should track, government agencies, advocacy groups, lots of questions. Do you have a data management plan to capture, archive, share, and manage your data? You need to talk to Heather. We don't want you looking like this halfway through, not finding things or forgetting things. Have you registered for RACE or Interlibrary Loan Service to get digital copies of books, book chapters, news, and scholarly articles? Really, you may never use it, but chances are you'll find maybe 150 articles. 80 you'll use, 40 you'll cite, and of those, 5 or 6 of them you have to get from other resources and other libraries, and we can help you do that. Do you keep a journal that documents what databases, search terms, save searches, or alerts that you've created? How successful they were? And when a search was conducted? How has your information seeking behavior changed over time? Because once you start and when you finish, you have learned and done different things. Do you have a citation management system that captures data for books, papers? Not only that, for all your searches, and I use Zotero. I guess this is really important. Where do you get your best data to put into these citation management systems? And then you can tag citations and code data and add notes, cut and paste things in so that you've always got it in one place. You can actually create group accounts so that 2 or 3 of you can do the same sort of research and same sorts of citations. Where do you keep and save cited full text and PDF files? You really don't want to be downloading every PDF that you see. My suggestion is when you find something that's really good, download the PDF and attach it to Zotero. Download the links to things that are of limited value just so that you can follow up and find them at any time. Might you contact the Brock Library Digital Scholarship Lab and take a workshop? They offer workshops on citation management systems. Again, don't want you to look like this. Have you found a current master's thesis or doctoral dissertations? Have you checked the Brock theses? Have you found books, ebooks, government documents, and reports? Kind of the gray areas. A question you may ask us to help you with. Have you found scholarly journal articles and papers? Have you found too many or too few? Do you need to narrow your search or broaden your search? And how would you do that to be a successful scholar? Have you tracked cited references for these articles to find more current research? Remember Web of Science? What value is there in searching news popular in social media? Well, from a sociological perspective, I think that would be important, and we can help you to do that. When you stop chasing citations and start writing, good question. We don't want you to look like this with too much and being overwhelmed. You should have a plan as you move through to not only manage your data and your information seeking, what databases you search, so that when you start to write, you have everything in hand. How can the Brock Library and your liaison librarian help? Hopefully I've suggested many ways that you can do that. Here's that first slide, which is the last slide, my email address. I'm here through to the end of 2020. Heather Whipple, Data Management, Brock Library Help, the Sociology Research Guide, the Data Management Guide, anything in the Brock Library. Keep checking with us to see what's new, especially during this pandemic. We can help. And all the best with your research, your studies, and the difficult tasks I found writing as well. That's the end of the formal presentation, but I want to continue and do those three things that I've suggested as well. Let me go to the Brock Library homepage. I'm clicking on Home in My Library, and it brings up the Brock Library page. So again, this is our homepage where we get news and other resources as well. I'm going to try three things. I'm going to do an Omni Search. So Omni is embedded in the subject guide. It's in certain different places, but most people search it from the front page. You can do an advanced search, and you can certainly look for books and ebooks, which is our way of finding whether we have something or something that's new or different. But mostly I want you to find papers. So you saw my list of keywords. Let's search for the word police, or saw me do it before. Remember, in this database, is if you're putting synonyms together like teenager or adolescent or high school student, England or Great Britain or United Kingdom, the or has to be in capitals like I've done it there. If not, the search goes wonky. So I'm looking for any field. But since I'm looking for articles, let's look at the title of an article with police or policing in it. I know there's too many research, so I want to put the word race, and I got to truncate that to pick any word, racism, racists. And let's look at the title as well. So let's do a search. So we're looking for articles that may have these particular terms, and I found 228. At any particular time, you can add a new line, and let's put in, I can browse through those 228, but let's look at Canada, OR in caps, Ontario, or Toronto, or GTA, Greater Toronto Area as well. So let's find how many of these 228 have at least one or a number of those terms as well. At any time you're searching, there's 30 results, which isn't a lot. You can sort them by relevancy or from newest to oldest and just browse through them as well. Most importantly, every database has a filter to search for peer-reviewed journals or scholarly materials. So let's search that as well. I've got 8 results. At any particular time when you find your results and you browse through them, you can certainly look at them at any particular time. And like any database, I can mark these records and I can sign into my account, and it saves these. Irrespective of whether they're here or not, we usually have most of these in our library. I can send them to my citation management system, or I can read them and download them as well. So remember the search strategy and the OR using Omni. The other search that I wanted to do was to go to our content as well. So let's go to the Brock Library, And the research guide is here. So let's click on research guides. Again, as we're waiting. So let's go to the research guide for sociology, which is right here. Number of tools that you can use. All our tabs are here, journal articles. I'm going to use ProQuest, so you can use any of these databases. The trick I'm going to show you here is we're searching ProQuest Sociology, which is right here. I'm going to click on the Change Databases function. The neat thing is with the same formatting of this database, you can add different databases. I can add business by clicking on the tabs here. Don't want business. Canadian business and current affairs includes Canadian journals. Okay. News. International periodicals. Political science. It adds a suite of political science databases, including a sociology collection. So when I go back to the top and click on Use Selected Databases, it shows that there's 3 databases now I'm searching, and I can put in my terms and search and then limit from that as well. So don't rule out using the ProQuest Sociology, but adding databases to that as well. The last thing that I'm going to do is search for the Brock theses. So let's go back. Home. My databases. Let's click on the research guides. Let's go to sociology again. Let's go to theses and dissertations here, and there's the ProQuest database. Other database you search, but when you go to the Brock thesis here, it helps you to search for our thesis as well. So you can look at the master's theses. You can look at the MA in critical sociology. There's actually 51 of them there, and they're listed here. They're all in full text. So you can see how other people have written, other people look at. You can actually search through them all. Just a limited way. Let's for the word police in 19 of them. Let's put in prominent researcher, and of these theses, 4 of them have this particular person's name in them as well, so that's another way to search for them. But Brock theses are here in full text format, so you can search as well. So there you go, Brock Library. Hopefully some of these will help. Look at the accompanying PowerPoint slides and review this as well, but book a consultation, ask for help. Good luck in your coursework, and certainly in your research, and good luck with your writing as well. Ian Gordon, Brock Liaison Librarian, helping you with sociology. All the best.